officially closed. So the pupils and students, they are at home. Some may be at summer camp already, and some may have traveled as well. We know as well that teachers are on a well needed vacation. And so, if you're a teacher and you are at home now, let me say to you, do enjoy your holidays. You've worked tirelessly, and now it's time to relax and to have some fun of your own. Those of you who are on vacation, good morning to you. You might be on leave from work, or you may be visiting the island as well to enjoy some of Dominica's nature. We say good morning to you. I know that there is some reunion happening in the south of the island, Sophia Scott said, and so people are here for that. I know that there will be a reunion very soon, I think in the month of August in La Plaine. And so communities are actually, coming together and trying to rally all of the people to return back to that community and to get a sense of what it was to really live together as a community and to participate in the many of the maybe the former games that were played in the times and to reminisce on what it was like living in the maybe 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even 90s. And so it's a good time to really spend that quality time together. Just reminding you as well that Customer Appreciation Week is in the month of July. And so the entire month, well, the third week of July is Customer Appreciation Week. And so we really want you to come on board with us and celebrate with the team of Jolly's Pharmacy as we give back to you. And we thank you for always choosing Jolly's Pharmacy, making it your number one pharmacy on island. And so we want you to remember again Customer Appreciation Week. It begins the third week in the month of July, just around the budget week here in Dominica. And so we really want you to come on down and celebrate with us, irrespective of what branch that is close proximity to you. I can guarantee you that there will be activities at that branch and there will be things to be worn and giveaways to be given to you as well as you celebrate customer appreciation with us here in Dominica. Just reminding you as well that we do have a promotion on Amen's powder. Many of you would have known of Amen's powder as one of the powders that is often recommended for bed sores. It is recommended for diaper rash as well because of the active ingredient in there, which is zinc oxide at 40%. So it's an excellent skin protector, particularly now as it's extremely hot and humid. The amends powder will definitely assist you in keeping the skin very cool. And so we do have a promotion. If you buy two almonds powder, that is the quantity two. If you buy two almonds powder, then you are eligible to win an air conditioning unit compliments Jolly's Pharmacy. Can you imagine you spending less, maybe about $25 on a particular product, and you getting back another product that is valued about $3,500? And particularly now that it's becoming very hot, many of us, or most of us, would certainly value having an air conditioning unit in our bedrooms, in our house, to really keep the house cool. And so it is very easy. You buy two almonds powder, large almonds powder, you write your name your number and address at the back of that receipt that would be given to you by the cashier. And there is a box that is placed right by the cashier. You put that receipt inside of the box, and guess what? Someone will walk away with that air conditioning unit. I've seen it. It is not a very small one. It is a good size air conditioning unit that can definitely keep your house cool during the summer period. Or if you choose to put it in your bedroom, that is up to you. But we're giving you the opportunity whereby you can walk away with that unit. It is so simple. All you do, as I said, you buy two amends large powder, you write your name, your number, and your address at the back of the receipt. You place it in the box that is provided for you, and at some point, somebody will walk away with that air conditioning unit. Compliments your number one pharmacy on island, Jolly's Pharmacy. We know it's hot, and so we're not giving you medication. We're not giving you a gift basket of our products. We're giving you something that is so relevant at this time, an air conditioning unit. So we really want you to participate. It is available, that promotion is available at all our locations, whether it's Focally, whether it's Portsmouth, whether it's at King George, the Fifth Street, or Great George Street branches. It's available to you right now. So why don't you really take advantage of the offer that we are offering to you at this time? Let me say good morning to those of you who are viewing online. I see Alistair Irish and Martina Roy, who are constant fans of Health Vibes, and they always listen. And so we want to welcome you on board the stream this morning on Health Vibes. My co host hasn't arrived here as yet. I know that it's a busy time for her because the State College is preparing for graduation. And so I'm not too sure if she's going to be with us this morning, but if not, I definitely would understand why she would not be here this morning as the person that heads the Dominica State College. But nevertheless, it is an open line today. I'm going to give you the opportunity whereby you can call and you can maybe talk about any health matter that might be of concern to you, and we can discuss about it. So it's an open line this morning, and oftentimes we like to give you that latitude where you can call in and you can really have your say, as we would to put it. You can have your say, and you can basically talk about a medical matter that is of concern to you. I recognize that she's making her way up. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with you on Health Vibes this morning. Wake up this morning feeling risky. I had been patients to call it sick, but I end up in Jolly's Pharmacy. And out in the street, Jolly's fix up my immune system. Me feeling fit and strong now. I'm ready to work. I can any mission. If you see me again, Jolly's Pharmacy is number one. Jolly's for you. We cater for everyone. Jolly's for you. It's up the immune system. Jolly's for you. Yo, Dominic, it's about Father Box. Whenever I'm in town and I'm feeling down, I head to Jolly's Pharmacy. They boost me up real quick. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare. Introducing Jolly's Pharmacy, brand new website, www.jollies.tm. It's your time to jump the line. Shop now at jollies.tm and have your items delivered in the comfort of your office. No more standing in line. No need to use your lunch hour to shop. Hassle-free shopping, safe and secure. Jollies.tm features rush delivery, 1 hour. In-store pickup, regular delivery, 5 p.m. Cut-off time, 4 p.m. It's your time to jump the line. www.jollies.tm. Jollies Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
Oh, and if they say convenience will make a big difference, then you can trust me. I know just where you should be. That is JP Mega, 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 Mega. The one-stop shopping, Dominica, nigga, 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 nigga. You could be shopping and having fun. Shop. If you're not a if you're social, it's to everyone. What a happy place, happy place. Oh, JP Mega, 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 Mega. The one-stop shopping, Dominica, nigga, 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 nigga. You could be shopping and having fun. Shop. If I am not alone, it's to everyone. What a happy place, happy place. Oh, what a happy place. Majestic some more any item and you automatically qualify for discounts. Check us out at the Mega Store in Fongolia where there's lots of parking on Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. JP Mega, the best family shopping experience.
Introducing Johnny's Pharmacy, brand new website www.johnny's.tm. It's your time to jump the line. Shop now at johnny's.tm and have your items delivered in the comfort of your office. No more standing in line. No need to use your lunch hour to shop. Hassle-free shopping, safe and secure. Johnny's.tm features rush delivery, 1 hour. In-store pickup, regular delivery, 5 p.m. Cut-off time, 4 p.m. It's your time to jump the line. Visit us at www.johnny's.tm. Johnny's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
We got this morning feeling distinct. I had the intentions of calling sick, but I end up in Jolly's Pharmacy. And don't you touch me, Jolly's fix up my immune system. Me feeling fit and strong now. I'm ready to work like it's on any mission. If you see me again, Jolly's Pharmacy is number one. Jolly's again. We can't talk for everyone. Jolly's again. It's up the immune system. Jolly's again. Yo, Dominic, it's about part of box. Whenever I'm in town and I'm feeling down, I head to Johnny's Pharmacy, then boost me up real quick. Johnny's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
Introducing Johnny's Pharmacy, brand new website www.johnny's.tm. It's your time to jump the line. Shop now at johnny's.tm and have your items delivered in the comfort of your office. No more standing in line. No need to use your lunch hour to shop. Hassle-free shopping, safe and secure. Johnny's.tm features rush delivery, 1 hour. In-store pickup, regular delivery, 5 p.m. Cut-off time, 4 p.m. It's your time to jump the line. Visit us at www.johnny's.tm. Johnny's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
So we're back with you on Health Vibes, and my co-host has arrived. As I did say to you, the State College graduation is tomorrow, so it's a very busy time for her. Trudy, good morning.
Good morning to you, Carlton. Good morning to the listeners of Health Vibes here on Q95 FM radio. And yes, indeed, it is busy time. And I was on air a little earlier with Richie on the hot seat because the State College has had to change the time of the graduation ceremony tomorrow, push it up to 9:30 a.m. So we had initially been scheduled for 2:30 p.m., but the Met Office has advised that there is a tropical wave that should be affecting the island tomorrow. Of course, we are in the hurricane season and the weather is very unpredictable. But what you do always need to do in the hurricane season is give I would say big room to these weather systems. They are unpredictable. You don't know what, sometimes it seems like it's a small system, like over the weekend. Look at the type of flooding that we incurred from a tropical wave. So, you really have to give way for the weather and just make plans as you can around the weather. You can't fight the weather. So we've been advised that the weather should deteriorate tomorrow afternoon. And even if it does not, we have decided to push the graduation up just to be safe. So 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, the State College will be celebrating its 23rd commencement ceremony.
Right. And the fact of the matter is that you have students from all parts of
All
Dominica,
parts of the island,
and the parents
correct.
will be coming and so forth. So you
Yes,
really don't want to have chaos
correct.
because there is a landslide or
Yes.
fallen rocks or
Yes.
overflowing rivers
And
and all
Carlton,
of
it's
that.
so interesting because I'm from Roseau. Well, I live at Castle Comfort, and I've never really had to deal with um issue of going home, like being
Yes.
prevented from going home
Yes.
because of weather, poor weather conditions. But as time has progressed and I'm interacting, of course, with people from all over the island, I am understanding how precarious it is for
Yes.
them, when there is heavy rainfall, for instance, and your route home involves crossing certain bridges, certain, rivers that constantly overflow.
Mhm.
Your route home maybe is inclusive of cliffs that
Mhm.
have rocks that fall
Yeah, like
regularly,
me.
like you,
Yes.
right? So,
Ah,
I've become more understanding as time has progressed
yes.
of the conditions that all other people have
Mhm.
to go through sometimes to get home.
True.
So when the weather is, there's inclement weather, we really have to think of people who have all of these dangerous routes
Mhm.
to traverse to get back
Yeah.
to their homes.
That's
So,
true. Because even at Jolly's, as managers and supervisors, we often pay attention to that. And for people who do have, challenges in getting home, we often allow them to leave
to
much
leave
earlier.
early, yes,
So the
yes.
staff who live in Soufriere, Scott Z,
Mhm.
if you leave, Grand Fond, we have people who work with us live in Castleboro, St. Grand Fond. We send them home much earlier. For me, the Taro Cliff is my major challenge. I hate
It's
it.
so scary.
I
It's
really
scary.
hate it.
Yes.
That Taro Cliff, it's really, really dangerous because, believe it or not, all the water because it makes two huge waterfalls when it rains torrentially, and all of that water is coming from Warner.
Wow.
So it's coming all the way from Warner, and it has to get to the sea.
Yes.
So it's making it way and drops
Down the cliff.
down the cliff, and it is not. It is. I mean, it is frightening because you're wondering, are you going to make it? Every time you cross that cliff, you're wondering if you're going to make it. And you would have seen that huge boulder that came down in
Yes.
Jimit of Taro some time
Yes,
ago.
about-
So we just have to thank God that some way somehow He has been so gracious and merciful to us that we've not had major casualties or even deaths due to boulders having fallen on vehicles or so, or on individuals in those areas. So
Correct.
I definitely share, your precaution and why this is so necessary.
And some people, people think of the disappointment. I know, of course, many people have plans or made plans, possibly to do their makeup and so on before the graduation. They set their appointments, and they're thinking to themselves, an earlier start means that I have to miss that appointment. But it's what we say in health: prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
So I prefer that we're cautious and we have shifted the time rather than we're at the graduation and people have to get stuck in Roseau or people have to get wet because of course it's an outdoor event. So prevention is better than cure, and that's the route we're going with. I do hope that things progress nicely tomorrow.
Definitely. All right, Trudy. So on Monday, there was this blanket of smoke
Yes.
that enveloped practically all of Roseau. I was at a funeral when I saw it, and initially I thought it was a house that was on fire, and then someone said it's coming from the landfill. But if you're at the cathedral standpoint, you might think it's coming from the valley area, but apparently it was coming from the landfill, and I followed it a little on MO News, and many of us were quite concerned. Even yesterday, I ran up to the State College, and I could still smell the fumes,
Of course.
the residual fumes.
There's
There was
still
still
smoke right now.
Yes, there's still
There's
smoke.
still smoke right now.
And I reached up all the way to the State College parking lot, and I could, even if it were not as terrible as the previous day, as Monday, I still had difficulty um, breathing,
Yes,
and
yes.
I could recognize how it had impacted, or it began impacting my sinuses.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine the people in the vicinity. I mean, luckily that college is off right now, but I was thinking of the prisoners
Mm-hmm. And the
who
people
do
who
not have anywhere else to go,
and
and
the
all the
people who
people
live in the area.
residing in that area,
Mm-hmm.
and the complications that the toxins, because it's not just smoke, but what is in the
Mm-hmm.
smoke,
Mm-hmm.
that people would have been inhaling, babies,
Mm-hmm. Elderly people,
elderly people,
asthmatics, people with
asthmatics.
respiratory
Yes.
conditions. Yes, of course. And it's Carlton, it's people say um the yes, we're speaking about people who reside in the area. People say, oh, the state college is closed, so possibly they're timing these fires to coincide with the closure of the state
Wow.
college. However, the state college administrative staff is never
Mm-hmm.
off work. So all staff of the state college are at work. So the state college is essentially not closed. The
Mm-hmm.
students are not there, but staff is there. And there are staff, for instance, who have to stay on duty. You call them essential workers, like the security
Mm-hmm.
officers. So can you imagine you have to be stationed at an institution that's enveloped
Yeah.
in smoke? And I've had to provide masks for the security officers, but it's still not sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
These people have to secure the college, but the smoke is overwhelming. And even if you're in your office, like I was on Monday, I stayed in office until about 4:30, and then I started to cough and my eyes were burning, and I realized that the smoke is infiltrating through the AC
Mm-hmm.
in the office. So even if you're enclosed in a room, you're still going to be under
Mm-hmm.
the impact of the smoke. So you really, if you're in this Stock Farm, Yampis, Tarish Pit, Bellevue Roll, Fokole, if you're in these areas, you just cannot escape
Mm-hmm.
the toxic fumes of that smoke. And it's very, very unfortunate. We have had to endure this time and time again.
I know.
Since I've been working at the state college, it seems to be a regular occurrence of fires at the landfill. And the toxicity of the smoke, you see, we talk about the short
Mm-hmm.
term impact. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I needed to cough, my eyes were
Yeah.
burning. These are short term health impacts, but we don't even fully appreciate the long term impacts of inhaling toxic fumes or toxic smoke. So if you're inhaling smoke from things that are burnt that are carcinogenic, you are possibly long term exposing yourself to something that can be causing a long term illness. So it's definitely I would say environmental health crisis, a health crisis, for people to be inhaling
Mm-hmm.
smoke. Particularly, we're not sure what are the
I
toxins or the
know.
carcinogenic feature factors in the smoke. We don't know, but it is a health concern for sure.
Mm-hmm. And even the firemen, they were significantly affected as well.
Hmm.
And just looking, it is now questionable as to whether this is the right location for a
It's
landfill.
not. It's not.
Seeing that people are residing in the area, and not only that, because even when it rains heavily, the fumes
Of course.
of the garbage is
Of course.
terrible. I mean, if you drive in, even when you get to the pot, you could smell it.
Hmm.
So it's like it's it's like a whammy. It's either
Hmm.
you get real smoke at some point with these fires, or you get the bad smell,
Yeah.
the fumes. And so it is something that I think our government's supposed to be looking closely at, maybe trying to see if we can really get another location, for the landfill. I know there was some conversation at some point, but there is a lot of environmental and engineering factors in terms of the location of the place. They have to also consider the water catchment areas that might be
Mm.
close proximity to it,
Mhm.
that it doesn't seep into the water, and
Mhm.
all of these
Mhm.
different things. So I think it is one that warrants, real discussion. And I think as well too that the public really deserves an apology, and I don't know if it's an apology, but it would be interesting to meet with the people in that area to really have a town hall meeting with them to find out, what are really the issues that this landfill poses to them, and ways of remedying it, because it is really really serious. It is serious. And I mean, just looking at that smoke, it was really really thick and black.
Mhm.
And if we're talking about resilience and climate and nature and all of that, it really did not represent us well, and it's not
Yes.
something that we want to be part of us.
Hmm. Massive air pollution,
Yes.
and so
And not factorizing the hospital too.
yeah.
Can you imagine patients at the hospital, because the
Hmm.
hospital is not so far,
So far.
you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the fumes get to them, but yes, depending on the wind
Direction.
direction. Yeah, so even at the state college, for instance, the smoke is coming from an area of the landfill that is adjacent to the upper campus block, like directly next to the Bellevue Roll apartments,
Mm.
and depending on the direction of the wind, we sometimes don't get as much smoke. So the smoke is
Mhm.
carried downhill and not across
Mhm.
to the other side of the street where we are.
Mhm.
So the wind flow, the wind really, is a determinant. So possibly the hospital could be impacted just based on the wind on that particular day.
It was a windy Monday. Was windy.
It
Hmm.
just depends. It just depends. Really and truly just depends. But it's I another thing I've never ascertained is whether the fires are being set for disposal purposes, or whether they're accidental. So when these things happen, I assume it's an accident, but nobody's saying that for sure. And I don't hear of any investigation being done into the cause of the fire, or any punitive measures taken against someone if they are purposefully setting the fire. So those are things that I think the general public should also be told.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And again, it's an open line this morning, and so we're just talking about things that are affecting us. The numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. And of course, if you reside outside of Dominica and you want to make a contribution, you're welcome to do so. That number is 305-432-9624. These are the numbers if you want to make a comment on the recent fire at the landfill and how it impacted you. You're welcome to do so. If you do have another health concern that you want to raise this morning, it is an open line. Over the past weeks, we've had guests back to back to back. And so we're giving you the opportunity this morning where you might want to raise a health a health and a wellness issue that you may have. We have a caller this morning, so let's take our first caller. Good
Good
morning to
morning.
you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Carlton.
Good morning to you, Miss.
Good morning to Trudy.
Good morning, Miss Trudy.
Good morning.
Morning. Carlton, I realized you were afraid before Trudy came, but Trudy came in.
I was
But
what?
You were a little afraid as though you'd be alone. But I'm just telling you, nobody would kidnap you because you're a good man.
Thank you so much.
Nobody would kidnap you, not you. Let me say something.
Yes.
I thank God that I wasn't around that vicinity to be inhaling, because I am a person that is very concerned about my health.
Mm-hmm.
And if like I would have a neighbor burning garbage, maybe at her home, once the smoke can come, the scent can come to my home, I put on my mask.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to inhale, because knowing that everybody has their condition of illness, I don't want to inhale those things at all, thank God. But I felt sorry for the people that have no choice to inhale it. But not only that, I'm watching on the on what I was watching. And there are people that is walking through along the road up there where they had it there. And not even a mask, as though they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They doesn't know what it is for their health. They
Yeah.
don't think of those things there.
The
They
long-term
just mean once
effects.
it don't bother them for the time, nothing is going to happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
But people, you have to get smart, get wise,
True.
know about your health, because it is not good to inhale those kind of things there.
That's
Thank you,
true.
Carlton. Thank you, Jude.
Thank you. Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much, caller.
Yes, good point. And that's what I was referring to a little earlier when I said, yeah, you
Mhm.
don't know what may be the
That's
long-term
true.
impacts of constantly
Mhm.
inhaling particular toxins. You may find out that they may be linked to lung conditions, so you really don't know the long-term impact. So just inhaling the smoke is obviously not safe. And masks, if you can get one, those
Mhm.
should be worn in those situations of that smoke in that area.
Definitely. All right. So Trudy, we are switching gears a little. Okay, I see we have another caller. Let's take this one. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Hello, morning, Carlton and Judy. How are you?
We're doing
Morning.
well. Good morning to
Judy, I hope
you.
you have a successful graduation tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Carlton. What I'm saying is just my view with that fire smoke up there. I'm saying in my mind, the solid waste people should have something in place for example, Carlton and Judy, you can have people that are bedridden there. You understand?
Mhm.
People that cannot move, get up fast to move. There should be something in place probably to transfer them out from there.
Mhm.
That is the only concern because sometimes everybody know this thing. You have people that suffering from bronchitis. I mean, if you're young, you'll get up and you'll take off.
Yes.
But if you have people there, you have elderly that cannot move because of whatever reason, who get them out from there? So there
Mhm.
should be something in place when something like that happens. Because I understand it's not the first time. That's what I mean.
No, it's not the
So
first
they
time.
should have something in place to transport these people away from there to some place. You understand? That's my concern.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and
Thank you.
and that's a good
Yes.
question because even for me, I was wondering whether they do have fire high. I would assume that they have fire hydrants there. They have sprinklers there. They have, so that if there is an imminent fire outbreak, that at least before the fire truck even gets there, at least they can begin to
To
extinguish
address
the
the fire,
fire.
yeah.
But I am not too sure. I've never been to the landfill,
Me
and I think
neither.
that is some of the questions too that may need to be asked, and I think an assessment may have to be done too, regarding the integrity of the landfill.
Mm-hmm.
But I was switching gears a
Mhm.
little. I mean, again, if you do want to still talk about it, you're welcome. We're not going to stop you from talking about it. But Trudy, I wanted to talk a little about the cost of what they call healthy foods.
Mm.
And I overheard a conversation on the radio just this week with a public health expert and someone who has an interest in nutrition, and they were talking about um, you know eating healthy and what it entails. And oftentimes, when we talk about eating healthy, we think firstly of what's available at the supermarkets that we shop.
Mhm.
And when most of us go to the supermarket, the volume of inventory are either in boxes, in cans,
Packaged
in
foods.
plastics.
Mhm.
If you go to the area where vegetables are sold, it's not as wide as that of the other items. And so when we're looking at healthier food choices, if we were to just resort to going to the supermarket, we'd recognize that the options are sort of limited compared to if we were to go to a regular market to purchase these items. Now, the question of spending is where the issue is for most people. Now in years gone, you could have gone to the supermarket and say you want a heap of yam, a low of fish. That was the terms that were used
Mm.
in times past. But now they tell you everything is $5 a
$5.
$5 a portion,
Mm.
a pong.
What
Everything
is
is
it?
weighed,
Mm.
and oftentimes people find it very difficult to stretch their dollar. So the question is, how can I eat healthier with a budget?
Mhm. That's an interesting question, Carlton.
Yes.
Oftentimes, people will answer that. I know, like, people will say if you eat local and if you plant, things in your backyard, and you eat. Dominica is rich in vegetation. You eat fruits and vegetables. You can eat healthily. Um, with a low budget, people say that all the time,
Mhm.
and it is something that I disagree with because I don't feel that that's the reality. People
Mm.
have variety is what we say is the what is
The
we saying spice
spice,
of life.
yes.
So people people by nature are not going to want to survive on eating the same thing day in day out. People like a little variety, a little change, and also people have varying tastes. Food is supposed to, yes, it's healthy, it's nourishment for your body, but it's also supposed to be pleasurable for you to eat the
Mhm.
food. So that's where I disagree with people that say, it's simple and cheap to eat healthy, because if you want to factor in the variety aspect and the possible likes that you may have, that's where the expense,
Mhm.
the budgeting becomes a little difficult. So for instance, you may, yes, fruits are great. What you may have in your yard, or what may be in season now, mangoes are in season, okay,
Mhm.
or bananas are always available,
Mhm.
okay, but you may be whipping near with, with
Yeah.
bananas. You might say to yourself, boy, I want to buy, or I would really like to eat some, I don't know, some pineapple, some whatever, and it
Mhm.
might just be expensive at the time because it's not in season,
Mhm.
so those are the little technicalities in
Mhm.
eating on a budget, the aspect of how do you get variety, and how do you get that type of pleasure, you eating what you possibly like, or what will interest you to eat on a day-to-day basis. it's
Mhm.
it's it's a little complicated.
Mhm.
I don't like when people simplify it by saying just whatever you have in your yard, is that just because you'll get fed up, you'll get fed up. So
I
that's my take.
All
There's a little complexity
right.
based on the variety aspect.
Yeah. For
Mhm,
me, for me, I look at the nutritional value of that food that
mhm,
I'm consuming and ensuring that it it sort of covers the main food groups. And a lot of the times, maybe we're not cognizant of that. The food groups, your fiber, your proteins, your fats and oils, your legumes, your carbohydrates, ensuring that the foods that you're consuming, generally, most of us have three main meals per day, and a lot of the times we start with the carbohydrate. We might start with bread or cereal. In the morning, we'll start with that in the morning, whether it's baked or bread or cereal, which is the carbohydrates. Um, Followed by maybe some protein, whether it's egg or some refined meat, sausage or salami or something, and then a cup of tea, right? And then we dash out. Oftentimes, we may not may if you can do the cereal, the vegetable salad, but sometimes it takes some time, and some people may not have the time to do it. So you may not get the time to do it. But when lunch comes, you look at carbohydrates, you make sure that you have your peas or beans, a large portion of that, which is, it should be larger actually than the carbohydrates that you're consuming. Your protein, which is your meat kind, so whether it's fish or meat, but you can still get protein in your beans and peas. Then your vegetables should be a good portion. But what we see in a lot of the times, people buy food out there, and may not have the latitude of saying exactly what they want. Although many of the restaurants right now, they give you the option. But if you look at, you get one slice of plantain, and I think it's like 50 cents per slice now.
Mm.
So whether it's banana, piece of dumpling, everything is sliced and everything comes with a price. But the good thing about this, it helps you with your portion.
Portion control.
Yes, it helps you with your portion control. So you can say, well, okay, like when I do buy food, I will say, well, okay, I will have 2 pieces of plantain and 1 piece of banana. So that's my portion, right? I will have a larger portion of legumes, my piso beans. I will have maybe a larger portion of meat and a large portion of vegetables. So that's the flip side of it. But I think what we need to, when we talk about food and balanced diet and the availability of food, is to look at the nutritional value of that food that we're consuming, and also factorize into certain foods that may be contraindicated to certain medical conditions that you have. So if you have blood clots or circulatory problems, you cannot take foods that are very high in vitamins K. So foods like green leafy vegetables, spinach, kale, these types of foods, they're very rich in vitamins K. If you have kidney failure or if you have kidney failure, then you cannot take foods that are very rich in potassium. So like ripe banana, or sweet potatoes, Irish potatoes, they're rich in potassium. You can't take too much of that. Um, if you are diabetic, then you can take the fruits and vegetables, especially the fruits that are very laden with sugar. So even so, you still, yes, they are healthy, but they still, you still have to use
Right.
them cautiously.
That's a very important point, Carlton.
Yes, you still have to use them cautiously.
And I'm happy you bringing that particular point up, because it's not everything that's healthy
Mhm.
that's good for a particular person based
True.
on their health conditions.
Yes.
So people, that thing about those fruits,
Yes.
that is so common for people to say fruits are healthy. What do you mean fruits are healthy? Just eat fruits. But for a diabetic, fruits,
Right.
sweet fruits like mangoes and so on, can spike your sugar
Mhm.
really high. I know our endocrinologist who was on with us
Yes.
last week. She, every time it's the mango season,
Yes.
she's in problems with
That's
her
true.
diabetic
Mhm,
patients.
mhm.
And she always says, that is a very troublesome season to manage her diabetic patients.
Yes.
So Carlton, that's a very good point. Also, eating healthy is based on what it is that you have,
Mhm.
your particular condition, and what foods are appropriate for that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And knowing the difference between the simple carbohydrates and the complex carbohydrates. So bread, pastries, cakes, rice, flour, whether you're making dumpling, all of these are simple carbohydrates, meaning that they are broken down very quickly into the bloodstream, and they can spike your blood glucose levels very, very quickly. So let's say you've eaten a piece of bread, within practically a minute and a half, you can see a difference in your glucose level. So if you were to, you can easily test it. Check your sugar before you have the bread, and about 3 to 5 minutes after, check your sugar and you will see the spike. All right. Now, compared to complex carbohydrates, which are often our ground provisions, they take a longer time for the glucose level to spike. So they are often referred to as the better choices for diabetics to consume. However, not because they are the healthier choices, you are not going to be paying attention to your food portions, the amount that you consume. So you find the diabetics may say, well, I'm not in that, I'm a po diwi, mapaka fawin force, I'm not taking flour, I'm not taking rice, I'm not taking macaron, I'm not taking macaroni. But then when they cook, they will have dashing, they will have plantain, they will have green bananas. So then they'll have kush, which are all carbohydrates, all. And these carbohydrates, when they're broken, they convert into sugar. That's how they spike your energy levels. So you still have to look at the food portions, what quantity, what amount that you are consuming, and how often you're consuming it. So oftentimes, so sometimes people may have lunch at 1 o'clock, which is generally the time people have lunch in Dominica, and then they will still have another plate for dinner again, because I like my provision and I feel like it gives me a lot of energy and so forth. And when dinner time comes, you will have another big plate of that food that was left on the stove, and then you're wondering why my glucose level, and you have the view that you're not taking brown sugar or white sugar,
And you haven't
and
eaten anything sweet.
that's it. But these foods are also they also laden with natural sugar, and they can cause your glucose levels to rise. So I know that it's a struggle, even for me. It's a sacrifice for me to buy sardine right now, Brunswick sardine, because the price of sardine is almost $6 for one can of sardine. And sometimes when I go to the supermarket, I would normally do sardines and mackerel and as my tin stuff of choice. And even so, the more and more you, it's like the prices are raising up more and
Higher
more,
and
and
higher.
and then you keep on saying maybe really and truly maybe you're not supposed to be consuming these things. Maybe that's what it means. And so I'm recognizing that my cupboard, my pantry, is getting um, emptier and emptier with these canned products, because the prices are becoming
High,
ridiculous,
extremely high.
and the quantity that you'd want to consume or buy, it's just difficult to stretch that dollar. So you have to now look at what other food sources that may be more affordable, that I can get the same nutrient
From it.
from, and maybe from a more organic standpoint.
But you know that point about because I love sardines too.
Yes.
Sardine and cucumbers, that's my favorite
Yes.
breakfast
Oh, that's really good.
combination. But and then people will say, well, okay, the canned stuff is expensive, so get the fresh stuff. I'm noticing per pound fish. Like I mean, what
Oh,
used to be a
yes.
cheap
Oh,
fish per
yes.
pound.
Oh,
Like
yes.
you'd say, okay, you're not buying dough. You'll
Yes,
take
my red fish.
you'll you'll take the
12 and
tuna.
15.
Yes,
Yep, a
a
pound.
pound.
Yep.
So
I like red fish, and I tell you, like butterfish, or what we call tash. I go crazy over these fish when I see them, but they can be very expensive.
very expensive.
I see we have a caller.
Yes.
Let's take this caller. Uh, all right. Feel free to call caller again, 449
Yes.
3095, 449 3096, 449 3097, 616 4257. I mean, truly, that is such an important point that you raised, because the price of fish now, it is
Because
really
I like
big man
buying,
thing.
I like fresh fish as
I
well.
too.
I like tuna and I like dolphin. And I'm noticing, so before dolphin used to be the pricey one, you'd say, if tuna is $7 or $8 a pound, the dolphin would be 10. Now tuna is 10, 11, 12, and the dolphin is 13, 14, 15 a pound. So it's amazing how even if you try to go the fresh route, it's extremely expensive. And those canned fish is getting much more expensive, and the sodium levels in them are high, so they
Yes,
also not
that's
good
true.
for that. So you're really between a rock and a tight
I'm
place.
telling you. Let's take this caller. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, folks.
Good morning to you. And how are you
Morning.
doing today?
I'm trying my best.
All
Here-
right.
Here is what we need to make a formal complaint to the Ministry of Agriculture on the price of fish. Fish is a healthy food for the population. And here is the
It's low
Ministry
fat.
of Agriculture giving the boats, the fishing boats, and the outboard motors free of charge.
That's
They
a
have
good point.
given more than 100 fishing boats and outboard motors free of charge. How do you calculate the math, which is not mathing? Why must we be penalized and punished.
And there is no
You
VAT
get
on
in
the
the
fish,
boat
right?
free.
No VAT.
You get in the boat free. You get in the outboard motor free. Have mercy on the population on the price of the fish.
Mm-hmm.
Who do we turn to? Fisheries Department, Ministry of Agriculture. Are you listening? Or why are you allowing this attack, this insane criminal act on the population to be paying that kind? We cannot afford that. So now the average mother now has to go and buy some cheap sugar water and a piece of dry bread for their child because they cannot afford the fish.
Mm-hmm.
When the fishermen got the boats and the outboard motors free of charge, so what was the purpose of getting it free? Not to keep the price subsidized?
Mm-hmm. That's
Come
a very
on,
good
let's
point.
do something about it.
That's a
Thank you
very
so
good
much.
point.
Thank
Yes,
you,
and
caller.
I really like that point. And the same thing, because if you look at the provisions, there is no VAT. Farmers do not pay, right? There's no VAT on the provisions. There's no VAT on the fish, but yet the
People,
prices are so
it's
high.
just the cost of living is going up, so the suppliers are passing on their costs of living to the that's what's happening. Let's take
Let's
this
take this
call.
caller. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling. Good morning, caller. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Carlson, and how are you?
I'm doing well, miss.
Hi, Trudy. Morning.
Hi, morning.
Mr. Lando,
Yes, ma'am.
you all were talking about food and food portions. I love the program this morning.
Thank you.
I feel a little confused because some of the foods that you all are saying that are not good to eat, and we know, okay, we're supposed to eat it, so we have to eat it because of the nutrients they contain. So I'm a little confused. And next thing I'm hearing you talking about the boats that some fishermen are getting. Not all fishermen are getting. I am calling from Salisbury, and I know well that there are fishermen in Salisbury who haven't gotten a boat or a motor. So what do they do if they don't get it? They have to sell their fish. They have to survive. So what do they do? Don't enjoy the good times that some other fishermen get. So what do they do? And you said good points. Yes, I agree, but what do they do? Thank you.
So there needs to be a national discourse.
Well, she's relating some inconsistency. Well, and that is true. Some people would be benefiting from certain programs, others don't. But in general, I think there is no price control. So different people can put up, and what happens in the markets when a price is put at a certain level, other people just follow. So you won't find any vendor or fisherman selling at a different price. Once the price has gotten to a particular level, everybody's going to sell it at that price. So nobody, for instance, is selling if coconut water is people have decided it's $10 for the bottle, that's it. $10. $10 is the price. So whether who is subsidized, who is not subsidized, who is, everybody. So that's why price control is important. And that's the part of things that I think we are lacking here.
Let's take another caller. I see another call. Somebody's trying to get us. Yes. Good morning to you, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing quite well.
Okay, my name is Hunter.
Excuse me?
My name is Hunter.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Hunter.
Yeah, what's happening?
I'm doing well.
You have some very good points. I think it's a very good point about the whole question of eating healthy food and so on. Quite I know you said about the fish is very expensive and very expensive for children. But and whoever spoke about the boats together, it's free. But as Mr. Thomas said, the people, not everybody that have getting boat and engine free, right?
Okay.
Some getting, some not getting. But why didn't you look at the gas? And at the one time, you saw have two sort of gases, like premium gas and ordinary gas. Can they look at giving the fishermen somehow, lower the prices for them, so they can at least subsidize the price for them, so they can look at the fish thing. It's not only a question of blaming the fishermen. I'm not a fisherman, but the point is very expensive. I agree. Before we used to get Coolio, we used to get little things like the kai and so on, but now kai. Imagine Bala would be selling Bala at $5 a pound and so on. and all services,
Mm-hmm.
But the gas is the expensive part of it too. So the authorities must look at the gas and the oil and so on and see how they can subsidize or do something with the fishermen.
Mm-hmm. Good
Understand?
point too. Good point.
Yeah.
Yes. Good
Okay,
morning.
thanks.
Thank you, caller.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Yes, and I see one of our online viewers also mentioned the price of fuel, which is true, Carlton, which is why
Mhm.
I said it's the cost of living in general. So other costs that are going up are then transferred to consumers from the people who are providing goods, because the people are paying higher costs, yes, for fuel, but also the same vendors or fishermen are paying higher costs in their utilities, in their own expenses. And so to live, they have to put up their costs. So it's a whole cycle, a whole circle, and it needs to be addressed from a holistic point of view. So we cannot fix price by looking at just one thing. That's why an authority is needed to look at
I agree.
all the factors
Mhm.
that contribute to the cost of goods and how we can control or stabilize costs. What we need is stabilization, because the costs, as we saying, are rising exponentially. There is no stabilization, and people really cannot, I would say, handle the quick increase in the cost, which is why a lot of people are struggling and complaining. I see one of our listeners said, if the cost of the fish is too high, leave it. That is it's not about us as individuals being able to afford the fish and not being able to afford the fish. If I want the fish, I'll buy the fish,
Yes.
fine. But we're talking about the impact on the general population when prices are so high. How do people cope with the high prices and still eat healthy and
right.
choose healthy options? That's the discussion. So it's not about, if you don't want, if you cannot afford it, leave it. It's what is the impact that cost of food is having overall on people being able to buy healthy foods. That's the discussion. So I don't want people to get it confused. Of course, if I want a luxury item and I cannot afford it, then I have to leave it. But what
True.
we're talking about here is health.
True.
And health is for everyone.
That's it.
Right? We don't have a choice.
That's it.
When we talk about health. The whole population needs to have good health. That's what we aspire to have.
I see we have another caller. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Hello, Carlton.
Yes, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, I believe you need to have a topic. I know it cannot be this week, but next week, about conventional medication and the herbal medication. Because lately I see certain people walking across Roseau with an empty tropical spring water bottle and a thick orange, green, yellow, or red kind of a thing, and just randomly saying, "Oh, drink that to boost your immune system." And I think the authorities have to take a step, and even then they have to be these guys to try to put a stop to that, because you're just seeing a random person, you're gonna see John Doe with a thing and in an empty spring water bottle and they say drink that to boost your system. And I even see people buying that, saying about the conventional medication not good, which we know here, well, what doctor prescribes better to go natural, but you cannot just take out a man randomly, you understand, and be selling something and people buying it, if you understand. So
I get you. So we're talking about standards and guidelines.
Yes.
Right. I get you.
Yeah,
I get
and
you.
on the other hand, Carlton, when I can pass by you for this stuff.
You can pass sometime this afternoon.
Okay, thanks. Okay,
All
bye.
right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yes. There was a point I was going to raise, because I have the concern too, because what constitutes the price of green bananas? How do you know what is a pong? Who determines what is a pong and the price of a pong? And the very same thing applies with any other food item that you want to purchase, because you see a soursop now and they have to wait for you. Everything is weighed now, and that in itself is it is a challenge. It is a challenge to many people that want to buy healthy foods, go to the market and buy, but the spending power is the issue. We have calls. Let's take this one. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Good morning to you, Mr. Carlton. Fireman touching base.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Yes, I remember. We're talking a great program then. Them kind of program I love, because I love but I bring my little 2 cents. But Mr. Carlton, really and truly, when you watch it well, like That country they call Dominica, I call it Rivernica, which is an agricultural island, a tropical island, a mountainous island. We have 365 rivers. But now the farmers before now, I realize that all of them die when they disappear. Now the farmers, the young people nowadays don't watch it well. It have two food it have, acidic food and alkaline food. But you realize, well and truly, if you don't plant and do things for yourself, you're going to go into acidic food. It's acid and blood. You know what I'm telling you? No, you don't do it healthy. You have to be planting. But I have a problem. It's not all what people say about even government and whosoever gets it and who don't get it. That's not the case. The problem, even the seeds, as far as I know, and not from the country areas, but I know areas because I know about farming also. The seeds that plant in the food now is one job, I call it well and truly. Before the seeds that lie, when you eat in corn or whatsoever, eating the fruit outside, you see a whole heap of plants. So that will give you energy to do planting. You know what I'm saying? Right now, the type of food you eating is one crop. Is die one shot. You know what I'm saying? So it's not healthy. But another problem we have again. Knowing that country have so much food naturally, right? And I don't know if it's money these people have, or everybody dangerous, or everybody too much in this hole, and everybody has a kind of evil. I don't know what God they're saving, but they know they have a problem. Because I find relatively for a country that near the factory that give you the food. Food very expensive, trust me. Planting right now, I have so many planting in the place there. I'm planting selling $5, $5 for $5. I'm not putting out planting still selling $5 for $5, you know. So what is the problem? The land that change, or the people that not agree well. It's all about the money. You don't help nobody. But not helping nobody. As you just said, the government giving, who getting don't want to do the evil, that's the problem. Fire burn them same way. It has to do what they have to do, you know, things expensive because what I say again. If you don't go get American food, you don't get what you plant. What you plant is what you have to eat. In other words, what you eat.
Thank you,
You know what
caller.
I'm saying?
Yes, thank you.
And you're going to bring medical assistance.
All
And
right.
my Lord,
Thank
if
you.
people have a money problem, they have to do the right thing. Up
All
and
right.
running, fire
Thank
and running,
you.
bless up
Thank
and
you.
listening.
Thank you. Well, let's take this other caller. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Yes, I omitted one major point.
Yes, sir.
How do you explain this mind-boggling statement? Our head of state in parliament disclosed to the nation that they are aware of fishermen making $45,000 a day in sales of fish at $10 and $12 a pound. And you turn around and you still give him a free fishing boat and a free outboard motor, and he has no income tax paying, no VAT paying. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. I just don't understand it. Help me, please.
I understand. I truly understand. The concerns that you have. We ourselves are trying to even kind of calculate how the prices are determined, and I think it is one that the Bureau of Standards need to look into. It's not just merely visiting the typical supermarket and looking at what is being sold on their shelves and making sure that the products have English written on them and that type of thing. But looking at really the prices of items, particularly items that are organic, items that are grown here. Because even last week we had a problem at my home where my wife cooked and we had to practically almost dump the whole thing of food because when she thought it was sweet pepper, the peppers were mixed.
Yeah, that happens. That has happened.
And I don't
to
know
me.
why the people doing that. They mix burning pepper
No,
with
they
sweet
say
pepper.
it turns. They say that a farmer has
They say
explained
it
to me.
turns?
Yes, somebody can call and
I never heard of that.
yeah, somebody can call and explain the phenomenon with the sweet peppers and the what you call it, the hot peppers. But there is it's a farming issue, Carlton. I think somebody can advise,
What?
but it's not I've been told it's not a purposeful mixing that happens. So somebody who knows better can call.
Wow.
Because this has happened before to me and I have gotten the explanation before, but I am not able to repeat it well enough to you. So somebody who can call, But Carlton, yes,
My
the
kids, the children
standards.
couldn't eat the food.
Yes.
Like, it was, and you wondering, but what's happening? And you thinking, well, it's sweet peppers you have, you season up. Use all your
Which is
nice-
why, because this has happened to me in the past, when I cut seasoning peppers, I taste them because this has happened to me before. So when I'm cutting them, sometimes I just put it to my tongue to make sure, because I've been burned, literally burnt from thinking seasoning peppers were not hot, and they were hot. So this has happened to me before. So somebody can call. I know people listening can
I've
give the
never heard of that.
explanation. Yes, can
That's-
give the explanation better than I can. But Carlton, yes, you mentioned Bureau of Standards and price, not just price control, but quality control. I guess you would call that, as it relates to our farming produce. And yes, that is so important, because not everybody can be planting every single thing that they need. So we do have to buy produce from people, and there needs to be standards for what we're buying.
Yeah, because even I mean, as the caller called, anybody can just put anything in a bottle now, and come in their vehicle and just selling Rosso in a cooler. You don't know how it was made. You don't know when it was made. You don't know what was the There's no.
And what
just
I would
anything.
like, somebody, we have a caller. Let's take this call. Caller, good morning.
Hello, Carlton, me again.
Yes, good morning.
As we are talking about Bureau of Standards and we're talking health and prices, is it possible you could get them to come on one of your programs?
Oh, definitely.
Carlton?
Yes.
Because we're talking health, so we
that's
can
true.
put certain questions. And so please try that now, Carlton.
I will.
Thank you.
I will. Definitely. You said
Yes, I'm still trying to get that seasoning pepper explanation for you. I see one of our online viewers is saying that has happened to them as well. So I'm trying to source the explanation. But yes, the standards for.
We have a caller.
We have a caller.
Yes. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Yes, Carlton, I'm here again.
Yes.
I really don't want Bureau of Standards. This is a very good thing. I have seen. I want to talk about expiry date on a number of things, on things, so whatever it is. Sometimes you go into some, I won't call the names, go into some supermarket, when you look at the expiry date, perhaps in a 1 month time or less than a month, and they have it on sale. I have seen an area where I went into a shop and I saw sausage. Sausage is nicer than sausage. When I look at it, the price went down. I say, wow, look at this thing so cheap. My wife was going to buy it, and so I said, let me tell you something, look at it. Sausage and so on. The next thing they did was already passed already. And I think the Bureau of Standards must really look seriously at what's happening, because we have a thing where we have a lot of expiry date things which are happening, and they sell it on reduced prices, and you cut it down, but I think cheap and so on. But it can't last the next 2 days, or sometimes it's only within 1 month or something like that. I don't know. So I think they need to look seriously at the Bureau of what is happening.
Especially the perishable goods.
Yeah, things in tin stock, things in all those different things, especially meat kind, and they're very careful about it. And I agree with you, they must only look at the English alone, and if you read the English, you must look at what the man's selling, the prices, and everything, and make sure that thing is happening. Thanks for calling. It's a very important educational meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, caller. Thanks for the contribution.
Thank you, caller. Yes, Carlton. One of our listeners is referring to cross-pollination that happens between pepper plants if they're close by, that causes the seasoning peppers to be hot.
Wow.
So cross-pollination from a hot pepper tree. So that's what the listener is explaining. That aligns with what I was told, that it's the person would not have planted it as a hot pepper. Yes, but it cross-pollination. So very interesting that you brought that up. Yes. But Carlton, what I wanted to mention, I am not recalling, is another industry that is blooming in terms of agricultural produces, coconut water sale.
Yes.
So I would want to find out what if any monitoring is done of the vending of coconut water. It is now a big industry.
It is.
People are bottling coconut water, selling coconut water. Is there any monitoring? There have been claims that sometimes the coconut water is not fully coconut water. It's mixed with water or sugar. I've heard that. As a matter of fact, not in Dominica, but when I lived in Barbados, when I was studying, it used to be said, because that was a big industry already in Barbados back in 2012 when I lived there. it was said that people were sweetening the coconut, that's in Barbados, sweetening the coconut water to stretch it, right? So now that it has become a thing in Dominica to sell bottled coconut water, I just wonder if there is any monitoring of standards for that product.
Would that not fall under the environmental health department? That to deal with that they would have food handlers permits
Yes,
and all of
yes,
that,
the
because
food
I
handlers, yes,
have
that's
had
true.
issues, and I'm saying that very cautiously. I've had issues with some of the vendors, their own personal appearance, because it's a food item that you're selling, and sometimes when you see the person selling the item, it's like, I just put any old thing on me, and I just, and sometimes you have a forenail, the forenail doesn't
Yeah,
look
okay.
clean. Look at the person's fingernails and stuff, they're just not looking, it's just not appealing to want you to trust that particular product that they're selling to you. And so even I would think that the environmental health department that deals with the regulation of food handling and all of that, that they would be monitoring these types of things the same way that they would monitor somebody doing fried chicken or barbecue, and making sure their grill is cleaned and it's of the right temperature. Because I've purchased bottled water that was spoiled,
Yes, and coconut
coconut
water
water that was
spoils
cloudy, and
very easily.
so you're looking at the hygiene aspect of it, and the aesthetics, sometimes even the place where it is sold. And so it's not a matter that we are in no way trying to affect the vendors or prevent them, but maybe making them more aware that you are selling a food item. It is something that is to get inside of the body. And so, therefore, the same way you would want, when you enter a restaurant, that you see the place is clean, that the person has clean clothes, their fingernails are trimmed and neat, and all of that. The very same thing we would want of you too. That if you're presenting a product to be purchased, you're selling an item, that you try your best to look the parts, to look as orderly and hygienically as you can.
Yes, that's important because it is a part of the food industry.
Yes,
So I guess the same monitoring, but it is a big, as I said, business. It's a booming
Yes.
business right now. I really commend the people who find ways to get their entrepreneurial skills on, because this is something a lot of people were not doing in the
Yeah,
recent past,
sure.
and now you're seeing it popping up all over, and people are getting into it, and people are purchasing. And I think it's a lucrative enough business, but just the monitoring. Carlton, someone mentioned if we could get Bureau of Standards, and I think we should
Yes.
try, and even environmental health as it relates to food safety. Sometimes we do try to get people on. Sometimes people from different entities don't want to come on radio, but we will try.
Yeah.
We will try, because it's good to interface with the public on some of these. The best way to educate is to have that interface with the public, and answer questions that people may legitimately have.
True.
So food handler sort of questions and standards, price control, that sort of thing, we can try to get people on for that, Carlton, in the future.
And I'm liking that, because even with the big fish, you still have the big fish being sold without ice. Somebody is just fanning, and there is no ice, and you don't know how long the fish has been caught, and it's laying on that table. Vehicles are passing, everything is, and somebody is just fanning, and then we stop and you buy, and that type of thing. So it's a lot, and I know these have been concerns that have been raised in the past. We've not seen, in some cases we've seen improvement.
Some
I must say,
improvement.
particularly the people who sell on the vans, they would have the
They're
big coolers and
coolers,
so on.
yes.
But a lot of the communities, when the local catch is made, you see the big fishes just laying there on the table.
No
and
ice.
there is no ice and so on. We have a caller. Let's take this caller as we wrap up.
Carlton,
Yes, good morning, caller.
how are you all?
We're doing quite well.
Very good. I don't buy coconut water because I have my own, but there is some people who complain. The people who sell the coconut water in the bottles, they put water in them. They
Well, that's an
add
allegation, yeah?
water. Yeah, they add water to the coconut water. Okay? Very good. Take care and have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.
Have a good morning. Again,
Thank you, caller.
we want to say it's an allegation. We
Yes.
it's not. We don't know factually. So just as a disclaimer to say that that caller's expression views
Mhm.
are not the views of Health Vibes. And so we've heard
No,
of the
but
allegation.
yes, it's just like what we just said. I just said that when I was in Barbados, people would say, would allege that people will add in sugar. So there are allegations about the quality of the product. I just would like us to maybe get someone on to talk about what monitoring is done of products like that. You know, products that are sold on the streets. Even I mean, and we're talking coconut water, but people sell
Juices,
a
a lot of
variety of food items.
mhm.
Yes. You know, so is the environmental health concept of food
Mhm.
handlers permit, does it apply to that type of vending of food as well? You know, the drinks, the juices, we would need to get somebody on for that.
We have one more caller. Let's take this last call. Good morning to you, caller. We've missed you. And you know, this is really deep because even, you know, you find in Rosa, you walk by and you see people are, you know, selling fried chicken and hot dogs and all of this right by the roadside. There's no running water there that they have. And you encourage you to make a living. But then if we're talking about standards, we're talking about foodborne diseases, we're talking about environmental factors, all of these needs to be monitored to ensure that what the consumer is getting is really free from microorganisms that's going to subsequently harm them. So I really think we need to tighten on these things. I see we have a caller. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Carlton.
Yes, you're the last caller for the day. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. And Christine, good morning.
Good morning.
I love to hear you when you laugh. Oh my God, you make my day when you laugh. Secondly, you talking about fish. Let me tell you a problem I have is some of the fish people that selling fish with the cooler. Guess what? There's a lady in Lagon selling fish in a cooler. She taking all the fish in the cooler and she putting it on top of the cooler
I've seen that too.
and she's selling. I tell her, let me tell you something. You're doing something wrong. Don't take all the fish in the cooler and put it on the cooler to sell it. Leave it in the cooler, and when people come, you can open the cooler and show them what you have. She was so vexed when I told her she don't sell fish for me. And I told her I will report her to the government or to the people that is in charge because she has no right to take all the fish in the cooler, put it defrosting on the cooler and selling it for people. Please, a black lady, please help me and go to that lady and let her know she's doing something wrong.
I think it's
I'm
maybe
not
she trying to
against her,
advertise what
but
what is being sold, but as you said, because it's a product that has to be under a certain temperature, to safeguard and to ensure that the product remains safe for consumption.
yes.
You know, you have
But
a
she didn't
point.
get it that way. She thought that I am against her and I am for her. I am a fisherman. I explaining her that the fish don't supposed to stay too long without in the ice. And she's so vexed that I telling her that she don't sell fish for me, So please.
Yeah, that's sad. It's the education,
Thank
it's
you
the
so
lack
much.
of education
Thank you,
and
caller.
enforcement. Yeah?
Yes.
Lack of education and enforcement. Because a lot of the times when they go to the food handling and trainings, they are taught all of that, but it's the enforcement. And
Yes.
I guess environmental health will say that they don't have sufficient staff to be policing the whole country and all of that. But I think the conversation is needed. It has to be consistent. And every one of us as consumers, we have to be aware and we have to educate ourselves as to the right standard, what we think is the right ways of, of food procurement. We have to be on, because it's the same thing. I mean, I don't have to have a degree to understand or to know what it is to see a clean place, somebody that is orderly versus a place that is questionable.
Right.
You understand?
And I will conclude what you're saying there by telling the public that consumers, it seems to be a foreign concept, but consumers do have rights.
Of course.
So it's the same the same way we feel like the people who sell have rights, and they have a right to make a living, which is true, but we the consumers do have rights, and we need to make sure that our rights are being protected, and there are supposed to be policies and things in place to protect the rights of a consumer. And so when we talk about these things, it's not to basically chastise or blame vendors, but we just want to seek the correct set of rights that we are entitled to as the consumer. Yeah, people think sometimes like,
True.
if you talk about what somebody is doing that's bad, or if you talk about the price that somebody is selling items and so on, that you're trying to press the the seller, the vendor, but in reality, the consumer, the person buying, also has rights.
That's definitely. All right, so we are out of time. Unfortunately, we had an open line, or fortunately, we had an open line this morning. But unfortunately, we have to leave
Time
you
is
at
up.
this time. Time is up. But as always, it's always a pleasure to be with you on Health Vibes every Wednesday morning, just about at 10 o'clock in the morning. As always, your health is indeed your greatest resource. Preserve it. Have a good morning, everybody, and continue having an awesome week. Bye bye. See you
Bye-bye.
next week.
Convenience can make a big difference, then you can trust me. I know just where you should be. That is JP.